You know, if I would have thought more of veganism growing up, I probably would have been a vegan.
You're watching the Spotlight Network, starring Hollywood's newsman,
And if you were just
Logan
trying to
Crawford.
investigators, they now believe a single member.
He works with TV and film legends. And now, Logan's shining the spotlight on the world's top emerging authors and creators.
International were abducted.
This is Spotlight with Logan Crawford, streaming on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire TV.
I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we are taking a look at a sensational book, a wild and wonderful trip into the jungle with Ty the Vegan Tiger. It's written by a terrific author. His name is Rufus L. Tanksley Jr. This colorful and compassionate children's storybook follows Ty, a tiger who makes a life-changing choice to live without hunting and spread kindness instead. It is a feel-good adventure packed with powerful messages about courage, compassion, and the power to choose love over instinct. Perfect for young readers and families alike. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put him on TV today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like him by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing his powerful book. The links are below this interview. Rufus, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, Logan, and thank you so much for that intro. I wish you could be my hype man and just follow me around. You're good.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Absolutely. I'll do the announcement whenever you appear.
Thank
Here
you.
comes Rufus Tanksley with his wonderful book about the vegan tiger. What made you ever come up with the idea of a vegan tiger anyway?
Well, I was a high school teacher for 5 years before I was a police officer for 24 years. And I got to see a lot of different kids and seeing how they would have to have peer pressure and do exactly what everyone else did, or they felt like outsiders. And then something happened in my later years where my son actually owned a vegan restaurant.
Right.
So I helped him, although I was more of a chegan. I would cheat on my veganism. He helped me by limiting what I would eat by trying to eat more vegetables and feeling a lot better by doing so. But I could see the difference in the people like myself, a big time carnivore, and who could actually relate to veganism. So when people see me and I would talk about veganism, they would look at me like I had a third eye. They could not see me and veganism in the same light or even in the same sentences. So I started thinking, you know, if I would have thought more of veganism growing up, I probably would have been a vegan and not a carnivore. And who's the number one carnivore in the world? A tiger. So, and my grandson, my oldest grandson's name is Ty. So I just put the alliterations together, Ty, the vegan tiger.
That's awesome. So you tied the whole family into this, from Ty, your grandson, to the inspiration you took from your son and his experience at the vegan restaurant. My wife is vegan. It's a tough diet to do, that's for sure. So I'm a chegan like you. I cheat, but I'm vegan, but I'll have a piece of fish or a piece of chicken here and there. I can't help it. Sorry, I'm starving.
No, I
You
know the
know,
feeling.
yeah, without a doubt. Um, Tell the folks at home a little bit about the story and how you present it to children.
Well, number one is children um, eat a lot of cereal, or they eat some boxes at the table while they're eating. They can read the boxes and they see the characters. My child, that's now my youngest, who's now 32 years old, could barely say dad, but he could say McDonald's by looking at the emblem where he would get his fries from. So I know when it came to visually, they could learn a lot better than me actually teaching. And so I started thinking about seeing a tiger that actually gives up eating meat to eat other protein that sustains him. The difference is all the other animals still see him as a tiger. They don't know what his diet is. They see that it's healthy. And if he's healthy, that means he must be eating them. So for them to be able to see that he could actually exist along with them without eating them is basically what my book is all about.
It's great. That's great. It's a great lesson for children about self-control, about discipline. And there's some bodybuilders out there who are pure vegan and they're ripped. So I guess you don't necessarily need meat, but we are kind of programmed, if you're in the same generation as you and I are, to eat meat when you can.
It's
But
true.
there's certainly a lot of great pastas out there, proteins out there, legumes out there, nuts out there, all that stuff that you can eat instead and can keep you quite healthy and get all the protein you need as well.
Oh yeah, with the
Um,
right spices, you can really spice up some things. Trust me. I have a son, my oldest played pro football. He
mhm.
never was a vegan, but he understood his diet and he would actually limit some of the protein from animals
Oh,
to by the way they break down in your body.
yeah. Exactly. Yes. Some of the plant proteins do break down more easily as well, so they're more readily available, which is great
Exactly.
too. Have you envisioned this as a cartoon or an animated show for kids? I think it'd be a kind of a cool story to put on the screen.
Well, Logan, you must have read my mind. I thought the exact same thing because once I put pen to paper, I started thinking about all the other parts that could be included with Ty. Because if Ty got any kind of publicity from the other animals, then they might look at the other tigers differently, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, there is a lot of different parts to this. And what about Ty's brother and sister? What would they think about this? Or would they protect him? Or would they eat in front of him? Or and Ty has a best friend that happens to be a pretty little doe that's a deer. And the deer would usually be on his menu, but now it's his best friend. So the reader gets to see how um, the friends and foes become just friends.
Awesome. Awesome. And think of the success of Snagglepuss. Remember the
Yes,
cartoon featuring the tiger when you and I were growing up? A huge star in his own
exactly.
right.
And
Yeah.
and I believe Tony the tiger never ate another animal onto his box. It was always cereal.
Exactly. It was always those frosted flakes.
Exactly.
That's a good vegan example, no doubt. That's excellent. Excellent. You must have had a blast writing this.
I really did. I really did because I'd never seen anything like it. So I like doing things and writing things and making people go, hmm. And that's why when I was writing it and I would think about, I had to actually think about what a tiger would eat and what a tiger could eat to compensate for eating other animals. And it was kind of fun. It was good. I did some research to do this. I'm from Georgetown, Texas, and I actually used some of the localizing from when I was growing up, from the cities to the parks, etc., just for little Easter eggs as you were inside the story.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, you worked in law enforcement, like you said, for decades. Are you retired from that now?
I'm retired now. I work executive protection.
Mhm.
I'm a freelancer. I've worked with Salma Hayek, Michelle Pfeiffer. I work at Chanel's on Rodeo Drive. I'm just a specialist protecting people's interests and other people now.
Very cool. Very cool. That sounds like a fun, segue from one career to the next to get
Oh,
into a personal protection and so forth. I think that sounds terrific. And of course, this is a great avenue for you to express your creativity now. Are you thinking about writing other books? Tell us a little bit about your writing career.
I am. Thank you. If this one works out as well as I think it should and could, si Dios quiere, if the Lord says it's okay, then I
Mhm.
have the second one already outlined. I have another book, it's called What If, that needs to be edited, and it's going to come out, and it's a lot more, let's just say the content is a tad heavier but it's just as thought provoking. And it would be, to give you a little hint, you would be my color interviewing me as I'm your color.
Cool.
What
Cool.
if things had changed completely? So Obama would be the first Caucasian president of the United States. So, and we start all the way
Interesting.
back from the conquistadors. So yes, that's my
That's
next book.
great. That's great. It's sort of like taking a walk in another person's shoes, you know?
Yes, but this is also taking another cruise and another person's slave ship. So you're
Yeah.
exactly right.
Exactly. Yeah, that is powerful. And I think it would be a real paradigm shift for the way people view institutions such as slavery if they thought of their ancestors coming over on slave ships against their will and then being owned like property. That's
Exactly.
mind-boggling, really.
Thank
Yeah.
you. And Logan, do you mind letting me come back on your show once it's done?
I don't mind at all. In fact, I'd love to
Okay.
have you back on the show, without a
Thank you,
doubt.
sir.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you a little bit about your background. We talked about law enforcement, we talked about teaching, but I also understand you have a comedy and acting background as well.
I do. I tell everybody my name is Rufus. My mom had 8 kids. She named us all Rufus. They said, "How'd she call you to dinner?" I said, "That was easy." Then she used our last names. No, that mom hated that joke. But yeah, I
That's
do. I
great.
do comedy because I don't drink and I don't smoke. And I've been to like 54 murders and I've had some heavy work. And so instead of me having an outlet that is not necessarily good for me, I use exercise and humor. So that's
Yeah.
mainly my background is exercise and humor.
That's great. You and I have a lot in common. We're both wannabe vegans. I don't smoke and I don't drink either.
Well, you're an
Now,
aberration. You're an albatross. Exactly.
exactly. Exactly. Now, did you stop drinking? Did you drink at one point and say, you know what, this isn't good for me. I'm going to stop? I mean, particularly being in law enforcement, you see all the garbage that happens to people's lives, mostly
Yes,
because they're either
yes.
drunk or on drugs.
So true. And we also a lot of times you will do a little choir practice after something's really bad happened as a police officer, and it usually has something to do with adult beverages.
Yeah.
My whole thing, and thank you for asking, no one's
Yeah.
really asked me why before, is I really hated being named Rufus. I really did. And I'm a junior. And my dad was in the Air Force for 22 years. He got out of the Air Force and within 2 months had a car accident and passed.
Oh.
My dad never drank, never smoked in his life. At his funeral, I told him I was going to be like him and I will never drink, I will never smoke.
Hmm.
This was May of 1977
Wow.
because I told him so much that I wish he would have named me anything but Rufus. And I felt bad about it. So now I honor my dad, and I'm 66 now, which is like 39 in Caucasian years. And I have never been drunk or stoned in my life. Well, in 8th grade, some kids threw rocks at me. That's the only time I've ever been stoned in my entire
Oh
life.
God. Crazy, crazy. So how old were you when you lost your dad?
18. And
That's
I
tough.
actually, yeah, I actually am the one who put the funeral together and everything. So yeah,
That
18 in 1977.
You know what's tough about that is you're old enough to realize the permanency of the loss. You really haven't had that chance to become like, forge that friendship with your dad that you would have if he had lived. You know what I mean?
Oh, true. Yes, you're right.
It's
And he
hard,
had been in Korea and in Vietnam so long that I lived with my grandmother who raised me in Georgetown, Texas. So out of my 18 years, I was probably with my dad 5.
Yeah, yeah. But you carry his name well,
Thank
and you
you.
carry his name with pride and honor. And
I do.
probably you love the fact that your name is Rufus. Now, I wish I was named after my dad. That'd be
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yes, I do. I do. And you know what's even better? Without my dad even being there, do you know how much money I've saved? Well, you do because you don't spend that much. You know how much money alcohol and cigarettes cost? I'm a
I
cruiser.
used
That's
to
my
drink.
habit.
So I'd go out to dinner and another $50 on the check would be alcohol.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a cruiser. The next cruise I go on will be my 37th. And a
Wow.
lot of that money, I could not have cruised if I was a drinker or smoker. So thank my dad and my lucky stars.
Awesome. Well, he's a guardian angel looking over you, no doubt. And he's very proud today watching you on our show and watching what you've done with this wonderful book. It is called Ty, the Vegan Tiger. In the book, we learn that even the fiercest creatures can choose compassion and that kindness is a strength, not a weakness. Rufus, thank you
Exactly.
so much for joining me here today.
Thank you, LC. It was an honor and a privilege.
The honor is all mine, sir, and quite a privilege to talk to you. To the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time.